everyone, my name is Tori. Welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to be talking about combating dry skin with your hedgehogs. Something that hedgehogs deal with a lot, especially in captivity, is dry skin, particularly where their quills come through. It's very rare to see them dealing with dry skin on their stomachs where their fur is. Now, there are a number of things that you can do to combat dry skin, and today's video is just going to go over a few of those. So the first thing you need to think about is what kind of shampoo or soap you're using to wash your hedgehog when it's time for baths. Now, hedgehogs shouldn't be having baths really super regularly. The more regular you make their baths, the more often you're going to have to moisturize them. Of course, I don't like telling people how often they should give their hedgehogs baths because I find it really depends on how messy the hedgehog in particular is. So in my opinion, if you're giving your hedgehog a bath more than once a month, most likely you're going to have to be regularly moisturizing your hedgehog. So when giving your hedgehog a bath, you want to use really gentle soaps. You don't want to use things that are actually targeted as shampoos, and this is because actual shampoos are designed to strip the oils from your hair. They're designed to sort of dry your hair out and get it as clean as possible. Now, this is all good because we put conditioner in our hair. We do things to combat the dryness that way. But for a hedgehog, when you're stripping all of the oils out of their skin, you're actually leaving them with nothing but dryness. So the best thing to use is something that is either geared towards animals or something that is really incredibly gentle, like a baby wash, not a baby shampoo. I've used Aveeno in the past and that's worked really well. They have a whole baby line that's it's like baby naturals and it's got oatmeal in it, and that worked great. Currently I use a shampoo that is specifically designed for hedgehogs. That would be Hedgehogs and Friends Hogwash. I actually really like the coconut and lime formula, but it's in my bathroom because I use it all the time. But they have a bunch of different formulas. This one's cilantro and grapefruit. This one's unscented. These are specifically designed for hedgehogs and they're really good. I have dealt with dry skin significantly less since switching to these, which is great. I'm gonna drop them now. These shampoos have really straightforward ingredients and they're cruelty-free and made in the US, and they were designed by hedgehog breeders, so you know that they were designed specifically for the animal they're marketed towards. These have been really incredible. I did an entire review on them if you're curious about it. That they don't sponsor this or anything like that. I paid for all of these myself, but they're really good. So once you've dealt with getting the best kind of shampoo for your hedgehog, the next thing you have to deal with is, okay, well, this soap is the best soap that I can get, but I'm still dealing with dry skin. Fortunately, there's a number of things you can do to combat dry skin once they already have it. Topical treatments are the most popular, but before I get to those, I want to briefly touch on the fact that you can add things to your hedgehog's diet in order to help them combat dry skin from the inside. Now, this isn't going to get rid of dry skin immediately. This is something that slowly takes effect with their diet. So you can add edible hedgehog safe oils to their food to help them combat dry skin from the inside out, just like you would a dog or a cat, giving them coconut oil, flaxseed, fish oil, that sort of thing. One of the #1 oils to do that with is flaxseed oil. It's the best kind of oil for people and animals to improve coat health. The next really popular one is coconut oil, and that tends to be most frequently on hand and really easy to work with. So those are the top 2 I'd recommend. Now, I haven't used this in my hedgehog's diet yet because I just recently purchased this, but this is a spray from Hedgehogs and Friends, and I've seen some really great reviews on it, and you can actually use this as a food additive as well, and this can help if you spray it on their food. It's the same thing as like adding some coconut oil. So on this note, moving on to topical treatments, you can add the same oils that you're adding to your hedgehog's food to your hedgehog's skin directly. Now, I prefer to add any kind of oil I'm using on their skin very minimally and very delicately. There are some methods that recommend pouring it directly into their rinse water. I've even recommended it in the past, but I find that it's really difficult to get it right without getting your hedgehog greasy, and you really don't want to get your hedgehog greasy because that can cause other issues. Too much of a really thick oil can cause fungal issues, and you just don't want to go there. So I don't like adding it to my hedgehog's bath water. I like adding it directly to their skin. I typically use a needleless syringe, the kind you would give them medicine with, to just drop a couple of drops right between their quills directly onto their skin. I've seen people use paintbrushes to do this as well, which seems like a really interesting method that probably gets it on really, really well. I haven't tried that yet, but I'm interested to try it sometime in the future. Sprays, again, are a really good option. There used to be a spray that was amazing. It was like a miracle, and it was Himalac, or I can't remember. I did a whole video on it because I loved it so much, and then they discontinued it. So this is a newer spray, like I mentioned before. This is from Hedgehogs and Friends, and it is basically meant to replace that spray. This is a coconut oil skin and food spray that you can spray directly on them. I've been trying this out with Draco, and I'm liking it so far. I haven't used it long enough to have like a real feel for how well it's working, but so far so good. And I've heard nothing but good reviews from it. Of course, if you don't want to buy a specific product, coconut oil, totally fine. Coconut oil is pretty thick, so you want to use it sparingly. Again, I don't like adding this directly to the rinse water because I find that it does leave them greasy, but a little bit between their shoulder blades, between their quills, this is great. Flaxseed oil, vitamin E oil. I've even seen people use olive oil, although I don't really recommend things like olive oil and vegetable oil because they're not meant to moisturize. They're meant for cooking, and you really want things that are good for applying moisture back into the skin. So really the only three that I wholeheartedly recommend is coconut oil, vitamin E oil, and flaxseed oil. Those seem to be the top three. If you don't like dealing with like this much liquid, you can actually do vitamin E oil in the capsules. They come in little pills, and you can poke a hole in them and then squeeze it on your hedgehog. It's a really great way to make sure you're not using too much oil. Also, oatmeal baths are really popular. I never do oatmeal baths anymore. I did them a lot when I first got my hedgehog, but I never really found them super effective, but some people do. So if you want to do oatmeal baths, the best way to do that is to grab a sock or something really thin like a cheesecloth, put some oatmeal in it, and put it in warm water and swish it around until it's cloudy. You can also just leave it in there. Aveeno also makes some oatmeal powder bath mixes for babies that works. So you can bathe your hedgehogs in those, and that's supposed to put moisture back into their skin. I never really found it super effective, but a ton of people do think it's effective. So it might be worth a shot if you are interested in trying that. Some brief disclaimers here. If your hedgehog has very severe dry skin and is super itchy, can't stop scratching himself, it's really important that you take your hedgehog to the vet. Sometimes what looks like dry skin is more than dry skin. Sometimes it's mites, sometimes it's a fungal infection. So if you're at all concerned that the dry skin is not just dry skin, you need to take your hedgehog to the vet so that they can get a skin scraping done so that you know whether or not it's just dry skin and you need to up the moisture or stop giving them baths as much or something like that, or if they really need treatment. So I think that's everything for today's video. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below. And thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you all in my next video. Bye! I'm a lonely, hard feline. I take what's mine and I leave behind.